It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This week's episode of the Sports Lordz is dedicated to the fine career of fellow broadcaster and fellow pervert Marv Albert. You've been the best since day one, and we'll miss you in retirement. And now it's time for the Sports Lordz. Swish.
Yo! Man, a lot to unpack right off the top. First off, welcome everyone. Welcome to the show. We're back another week, another afternoon with your Lordz. Shout out to Sir Paul McCartney. We haven't heard from him in a long time. He was an old friend of the show back when we were in the Sportatorium in Brooklyn. He was always just hanging out.
Yeah, he used to pop in on the reg. We haven't heard from him basically since COVID started, so I hope he's doing okay out there.
I hope he's still getting his little tug out, because he was always looking for a little tug was his catchphrase with us.
Desperate for tugs in a way.
Yeah, if you're curious, go back in our back catalog wherever you find podcasts. The old shows. Paul's all over those.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He kind of, he popped in unannounced quite frequently. And yeah, we love him for it. Paul's a legend.
He would talk about Egypt Station a lot, his greatest album. And if you don't know Paul McCartney, he is founding member of the famous band Wings. So you might know him from that.
He founded Wings, and he actually did a track duet with Michael Jackson. So that's kind of what he's known for.
Yeah. Oh, and he did a song with Kanye a few years ago. He was on a Kanye track. Give that a Google. Search your Kanye and Paul McCartney.
Yeah, he's a little bit of an indie artist to some, so you might just give him a Google. You'll find it. He's got another band, I think, too. He did a bunch of stuff. So
yeah. Kind of a niche guy that we happen to all be fans of and know him pretty well personally.
Yeah, we're kind of insiders when it comes to music. I mean, not to be hipsters or snobs or anything, but we kind of like the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially at that time, we were all Brooklyn guys, extremely cool, extremely plugged in, better than everybody else with extremely good tastes. Like everyone who lives in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I visited Brooklyn for the first time in probably about 6 months this weekend, and man, I was reminded of how just freaking cool everyone is out there.
Yeah,
there's no posers; it's all cool people.
Mm-hmm.
Are the hookah bars still open? They never closed when the pandemic started. So
yes, I did see there was a hookah bar open.
Hell yeah!
And somebody jokingly said we should. I thought they were serious, and I was like, no, I don't. In normal times, I wouldn't want to go, and now that we've been through a year of pandemic, I certainly don't want to go.
Mm-hmm. Hookah bars, I've never understood. I've been, and I don't get the appeal. It's not for me.
Yeah, I've been before too. If you really want the experience, just sit around with your friends and blast cigs all night.
Yeah. And after this pandemic, as we're calling it now, this panorama demi, I think I'm never again sharing, anything.
Yeah. Any of the toy cigarettes that we used to share?
Yeah, any of the candy cigarettes we used to all share with each other.
I've seen some people share some stuff with strangers even. And I saw one where the stranger was like, yeah, I'm fully vaxxed. And then they shared a candied cigarette. And it was on a golf course. And, I thought, I'm not sure I'd be so bold to ask a stranger to share with me.
It's always been gross to me. I'm a little icky with that stuff, and I would never share candy cigarettes or dollar bills to take the BC powder, when you have a headache at the bar.
Right.
Sometimes you just got to mainline that BC powder.
Yeah, the BC powder.
In the before times, you might be at a bar in Brooklyn, and you might go to the bathroom with a friend so they can give you the BC powder, and you blow it right up the nose.
Just to clear your head a little bit,
Clear your head,
Just like Richard Petty used to sell the BC powder for everyone.
Exactly, the king. Yeah.
Those were the days, but not anymore, brother.
No more. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh, I was just going to say, Kevin, it's good to hear that Brooklyn is still cool and everyone there is super cool. And
no posers.
No posers.
It's interesting just being on the other side of Manhattan over here in Jersey, going back over there. How freaking cool they are, man.
Yeah.
They're not tryhards at all, and they're not just
loaded.
Yeah, they're not just corporate douchebags who are cosplaying as artists, basically.
Yes.
That's cool. Yeah.
They're not that. So, I missed it and got a little taste.
Good.
Did you, I was going to move away, but now I'm curious. Did you make a little stop at Mad for Chicken, let's say? Or
Oh, well, I wish, but I was not in that part of Brooklyn. I was mostly in central and South Brooklyn.
The better parts of Brooklyn.
I wouldn't go that far, but
no. I used to live in South Brooklyn.
Yeah. I went into the bathrooms of a bar called Do or Dive, which, as the name implies, it's a scummy dive bar, and those bathrooms are no cleaner than they were before the panorami. And it was, I gotta say, I don't know if I'll ever go into a dive bar bathroom again, sans mask, because it just felt.
Yeah,
I would have even liked to have some gloves in there.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that because, some of the bathrooms at bars in Brooklyn back in the day, Trash Bar. I don't know if you guys remember Trash Bar's downstairs bathroom.
Oh yeah, it was scary down
Why
there.
were we not wearing masks then for that?
Yeah,
and like you said, gloves, and it was the worst place on earth.
I guarantee, because during the panorama, as it's known, I knock on wood, haven't really gotten a cold or gotten sick. I think because I'm wearing a mask, and I used to get sick 3 times a year, and I think probably a lot of that was just going into dive bar bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, on top of that, in some of those dive bar bathrooms, it can feel like you're almost inhaling urine. That it's transferred from liquid to gas, and it's just floating in the air as particles.
You're inhaling urine, fecal matter,
yes,
cocaine
BC powder.
I meant BC powder. A lot of things, and there are usually I feel like 50% of the time there's no hand soap, so people are in and out, just giving it a rinse.
A lot of these places, like Trash Bar, had an inch of water always on the ground that you had to maneuver around.
Yeah.
The more we're talking about it, the less I miss dive bars.
True. Although it seems like there's less of a middle ground in Brooklyn. It's either the dive bars or the douchey turbo yuppie places where an
$18
cocktail.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dive bars got co-opted by the douchey.
Yeah.
Right? Like in Atlanta, that happened to the local.
Right.
Is what the reports I'm getting. It's no longer what it was.
Right. Different crowd.
Favorite
clientele.
Before we get off this, favorite dive bar. Go.
Anywhere or in Brooklyn?
Anywhere.
Elmire.
Ooh, tasty choice. Elmire and Little 5 Points.
Yeah. If it's Brooklyn, I would say Ontario Bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love Ontario Bar.
Yeah, I guess in Atlanta, I'd probably go Star Bar.
That's another great choice.
Yeah,
Love Star Bar. A lot of
great memories. That establishment.
I love their Elvis shrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love their 25-cent beer Tuesday nights back in the day.
Yeah. There are also a lot of great local bands that used to play there for free a lot of times, which was cool.
Best open mic in the country too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say either Ontario Bar, or since we already mentioned that, another Williamsburg choice bar that is very cheap. Rock and Rolla.
Oh yeah, Rock and Rolla is great.
Which is owned by the people who own Do or Dive. And
yeah.
Walter's not sure if it's considered a dive bar, but I have a lot of good and bad memories there.
Yeah. That place is special to me, even though
it's
so weird.
I've seen the full spectrum. I've been cursed out, and I've run the gamut of emotions there.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of late nights. Honorable mention, Yacht Club as well down in Atlanta.
Ooh, you know what?
Great spot.
That's a good
one.
Yeah. And the Righteous Room, which is always forgotten about. I always have a good time down there as well.
I do like the Righteous spot. I think that was the last bar I went into when it was still legal, where I was just blasting cigs inside.
I blasted a few cigs with you at that bar.
I think they held out. They were the last holdouts of the cig ban.
Yeah.
Those are the days, man.
Yeah, they wanted some lung darts to still be illegal.
I mean, that was great, but it was also like, man, you just reeked of cigs.
Yeah.
Those clothes are ruined.
Yeah. Well, when the last time you and I were there, Kevin, we were enjoying it, and our lady friends were not so much into being surrounded by clouds of smoke for an hour and a half. So yeah.
Hey, but that's part of freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's love. Let's see how much do you really love me?
How long will you sit in this smoke-filled dive bar?
Yeah. Can you handle heaters? Can you handle my lung darts? I'll find out. But before we get really deep into the sports, I want to go back to the intro as well. Because, Herb announced fellow perv Marv Albert's retirement, which I saw he announced today. He's retiring after the Eastern Conference Finals. And just want to say goodbye to Marv.
Yeah, what a legend. And I know Herb and Marv are both in the Perv Hall of Fame. I think Marv is in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. I don't think they're ever going to let Herb in, unfortunately. But I know that they share a special bond with that Perv status.
I think they were inducted into the Perv Hall of Fame together. Like they were in the same class.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both would be proud to wear that moniker of Perv Hall of Fame member. And, they're just a couple of sports pigs.
Yeah, because for those of you listening who maybe like don't know Herb is our personal announcer. You heard him earlier. He's got a little nasally voice or whatever. I can't do it. It's just no one can. It's a unique.
Well, that's
voice.
why he's a legend.
Yeah, but he used to be the announcer for the Charlotte Hornets back in the day, a long time ago, with his brother Ozymandias, who again we've interviewed the two of them. We had a long talk about their career. Yeah. Herb's also dated Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He,
Yeah, and
lived an amazing life.
He's had an amazing life, but he was an NBA broadcast. He was a broadcasting legend. He was an NBA broadcaster. So he and Marv, that's how they know each other.
And Marv, he is a legend despite the perviness. I think I don't remember all the details of the perv situation. I think there was leather and biting involved.
He bit a prostitute in the back.
Yeah.
And whom amongst us hasn't been there before?
Hey, when you're a paying customer, sometimes the lines get blurred a little bit. From what I understand, I don't know.
I don't want to get too, TMI out here, but when I'm lovemaking, the back is a very important part.
Yes.
When I'm getting intimate, the back is a focal point of
exactly.
That's
where a lot
women
of the fun
climax.
starts.
I think we'd all agree we're back guys.
We're back guys. Yeah.
I think most men are, even if they don't want to admit it,
And I don't mean tush. I mean like the spine.
Some shoulders.
Yeah.
Some shoulder blade action. Yeah.
Yeah. Some delts.
Yeah.
And I'll miss Marv. I'm glad his legacy is carried on by his son Kevin, right? I believe Kevin Albert.
Kenny.
Sorry,
Kevin
Kenny.
Harlan.
Right. But yeah, classic NBA voice, classic head of hair.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm gonna miss Marv too, because like Carl Ravitch, that natural head of hair he's got is so thick and good,
It's a thick mane that speaks of his virility and his alpha status.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes.
Is there even a speck of gray in that hair?
Never has been, never will be.
Yeah,
some men are blessed with just never going gray, and it's natural, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I'm looking forward to getting one more NBA playoffs with Marv in the booth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be good. Because the playoffs start this weekend with the NBA play-in game actually starting tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exciting. Our Hawks have put themselves in a pretty good position here, it looks like.
Yeah, they avoided the play-in altogether. They are the 4 seed. They will be facing off against the New York Knickerbockers, which sucks, I think, because all of a sudden everyone's a Knicks fan, and they're the Cinderella story that the media is going to ride with, and I feel like the teams we root for always get pushed aside for like the better story of our rival, and it's annoying.
Well,
Yeah,
but we could be like the 0-1 Diamondbacks beating the Yankees in the World Series and just
hopefully
ruin everyone's hope. But, I was considering, and, I might still try and look around, but the cheapest ticket I could find to the game 1 of the playoffs at Madison Square Garden, $924.
Whoa.
And I don't know about you guys, but I don't have that kind of spending money.
But you do have a cash register in front of you.
I am in the middle of robbing a bank, so. But yeah, I've actually never been to a game at MSG. Would love to go, but now might not be the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's funny. I should see how much they're going for down here in Atlanta. They're probably also well out of my price range, but yeah, I agree, Diego. It sucks that the media narrative is going to be working against the Hawks because everybody's got a hard on for the Knicks right now, which I understand. But,
right.
But like, yeah, come on. Like the Hawks are underdogs too, just as much as the Knicks are, And
I don't have enormous expectations for the Hawks. To me, making the playoffs was like the goal this year. Yeah. And they not only made it, but they made it in a higher seed than I anticipated. Nate McMillan has been incredible. I know like Tom Thibodeau is going to get a lot of talk of Coach of the Year. Monty Williams should win it in Phoenix anyway, but like Nate McMillan should be considered. They're 27-10 since he took over, which is
it's crazy. Incredible. It's a complete turnaround.
And they were hurt during Trey missed a lot of the games. At the end of the season, they still were able to win. They're starting to get healthy. DeAndre's back. I think they could, they could beat the Knicks. I think it's a pretty even matchup, but I think they can beat them. And who knows? It could pose some trouble for some of the bigger teams.
You never know, man. That's the nice thing about landing where they did is like the Knicks are a team they could definitely beat. Mm-hmm. So that worked out for them. But
yeah, I'd rather play the Knicks in the Heat, which was like the fight between the 3 teams to get 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And also avoid 6 and not play the Bucks in the first round either.
Yeah.
But the play-in is going to be awesome to shift away from our local team because out west, LeBron and Steph are facing off in the play-in, and there's a chance that neither of them could actually get into the real playoffs, which would be crazy, but kind of puts fun stakes into this.
I like it, man. I think it's awesome. Because for me, one of the things that I've has lost me with the NBA regular season in the past is that it just feels like it's decided by like the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play another like 2 months of basketball. And it's like, we kind of already know who's in and what's going to happen. But this seems like it's added more excitement to the entire regular season instead of it just being sort of set in stone, you know?
Yeah, that was the goal. And for me, it was good because it was like as a European and like South American soccer fan, like they add tournaments and they have relegation and stuff that keeps the bad teams fans engaged and interested. Because like right now, like or the Wizards, for example, they were not a great team. They had no shot, but like they scrapped their way into this play-in, and now they could make the playoffs. And what if Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal get hot? And all of a sudden, like, you know, you got to face those guys. Like, that's not going to be fun. And that when there's actual stakes. So it could be fun. And Wizards fans have been able to watch games and had something to care about for this last few months, which is kind of fun and cool.
Yeah. And the play-in games, it's just a one-off game, right? Or
yeah, so the way it works is 7 and 8 will play each other. The winner of that game is automatically the 7th seed. Then the 9 and 10 seeds play each other. The loser is out. The winner of that game then plays the loser of the 7-8, and then whoever wins that game is the 8th seed.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be juicy. That's going to be good.
Is this a new format?
This is the first time they're doing it.
Wow. I mean, I don't hate that.
I love it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
So Diego, as our resident, probably biggest NBA follower and fan, who do you think, you know, putting you on the spot here, who do you see in the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals, if you had to guess?
So the Eastern Conference Finals, the Hawks are going to beat the Hornets. And no, I'm kidding. That'd be wild. In the East, I think I'm not looking at the bracket exactly right now.
I'm looking at it. So you got.
But I think in the East, the Nets are the clear like most talented team. I think by far. They don't play defense. They haven't all played together, so it's like been a weird thing for them because now they're going to have to sort of figure it out on the fly. But I think the Nets are going to definitely make the Eastern Conference Finals, which means they'd probably have to play the Bucks before on the way. Yeah, I think the Nets are probably going to come out of the East if I had to guess, though I don't want them to. I'd rather the Sixers do it. Out West is hard to say, man, because all those teams are loaded. The Lakers, despite being the 7th seed and potentially not making it to the playoffs, the playing game are still the prohibited favorites, even though LeBron is hurt. But if they're all healthy, I think the Lakers are going to get there. I think they're going to come out of there, even though I wouldn't root for that necessarily, but they're really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
And it's been fun. I mean, this past weekend, nothing was set. And like the Clippers and Nuggets purposely lost. They tanked a couple games to avoid being on the same side as the Lakers on the bracket. And it might backfire for the Clippers because if the Lakers finish 8th, they'll still have to play them. So,
yeah.
And now they got to play Luka in the first round, which isn't a gimme.
No, not at all. Yeah, and I know a couple weeks ago LeBron was kind of complaining about the play-in, but that seems like that was more just he's just not happy that he has to be in the
yeah, because last year he was super into the idea.
Yeah.
He was all about it. It was like, this will be great for the fans, but he didn't realize he was going to be the 7th seed because everyone got hurt. But then again, everyone's hurt on every team, so there's no excuse really.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be very entertaining. It's going to be fun. I mean, the NBA playoffs is usually at least, you know, once you get into the conference finals, it's always pretty damn entertaining.
And I know I'm not in New York City right now, but to like folks listening who might not follow the NBA that close or whatever, like the Brooklyn Nets are the number 2 seed in the East. They're loaded with talent and they're like favorites to get out of the East. but New York City's still more excited about the Knicks, always and forever will be.
Yeah, and I support that.
I'm into that too.
Yeah.
Like if the Hawks are going to lose to the Knicks, then have the Knicks go all the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not into the like. I don't know. There just aren't really like actual New York City diehard Nets fans.
No, they're all in New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. The true Nets fans live in New Jersey. All of the Brooklyn Nets fans are the guys, the 130-pound guys that we know from improv classes who moved there from Ohio, in 2016. So it's like, I definitely favor the Knicks over the Nets for sure.
Even though I despise James Dolan with like every ounce of my being, but I don't know. It'll be fun to have Spike Lee on the sidelines again, yelling at people and like talking trash.
Let's just be clear. We all despise James Dolan, but we love his music.
Yeah,
so
we separate the art from the artist.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I just wanted to, I know, people might think that was a hot take from Diego, but we just want to make that clear. We love the music.
If you open my Spotify, you're gonna see Chet Hanks' new single, JD and the Straight Shot, and a compilation of Woody Allen jazz. Does that mean I support everything?
Trevor Bauer's rap album.
Yeah,
exactly.
Does that mean I like those guys as people? No, I don't know them. I don't, I don't support everything they've done allegedly, but I love their music. I love their tunes, man.
I mean, we can't play it anymore now that we're on a network and like legit, but like go look up some JD and the Straight Shot, man. If it doesn't win you over right away, then go to the doctor and get your ears checked out because you got some blockage or you're losing your hearing.
Yeah, or go talk to a priest or something because you don't have any soul or you're not a human being. Or I don't know.
Go talk to a psychiatrist because you're mentally insane and you should be off the streets.
Should be committed.
I'm just going to give you a little acapella one line. We're not going to violate any laws, but I mean, tell me this doesn't sound good. This is just my pale impression of his music. If you can't lie no better. I mean, come on. That line alone, like women's panties fly off.
Men's panties fly off.
Yeah.
Everything
flew off.
Yeah.
And like the soul in that voice, it's somebody who's really been through some hardship.
He's
some difficult times in their life, You
might stop telling the truth. That's what we call Hamptons blues.
Yeah. And those people know about the blues.
Oh yeah.
The Hamptons blues explosion. You go out to Sag Harbor, that's where the real stuff is.
Yeah, everyone credits Mississippi, and sure, maybe they were first, but like they can have a little bit of that. But the Hamptons is where the real
we got a lot of Long Island people listening, a lot of Long Island people on our network, and they know the real stuff, the real blues. You got to go out to the Hamptons for that.
Exactly, it's in Montauk.
Get up to Montauk, you get up to the Mohawk House, like in that area, you'll get the blues.
Mm-hmm.
The real blues.
Oh, the real stuff. Yeah, you guys in like the South Shore, North Shore, other parts of Long Island, you can have Billy Joel. I'm gonna go see JD in the Straight Shot.
JD in the Straight, yeah. I'm not going to Nassau Coliseum. All right.
No,
I'm gonna keep going. But that's the NBA playoffs. Shout out to the Utah Jazz also getting the number 1 seed in the West for the first time ever. I like your players, but I can't root for you. I just can't root for the Jazz.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the Jazz in the 90s with the Stockton and Malone. But yeah, the more
you were a big Greg Ostertag fan, right?
Yeah. I was a big Ostertag fan, and then who was their other guard that I really liked?
Jeff Hornacek.
Former
Knicks coach.
Yes. But yeah, that was a long time ago. But in the interceding years, I've learned how much players hate playing there because their fans are particularly awful. So.
Yeah. And also a little known fact, again, we told you earlier, we're music nerds. We're into this music scene. The same way that like the blues are really a Hamptons thing. You know, jazz was born in Salt Lake City. People don't want to talk about it, but that's where jazz music comes from.
Well, that's the Jazz used to be in New Orleans, the team, and then they moved to Utah and kept the name because, as far as music nerds like us were concerned, the jazz was finally coming home.
Yeah, people think the New Orleans Jazz, like that, they were the ones appropriating the name, really. It was all in Salt Lake.
Well, yeah, I think actually Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, he played the first jazz show ever. Most people don't realize that.
Yeah.
And Brigham Young, he was a famed butt trumpet player. So really good.
Just like
butt trumpet solos are incredible.
Just like, you know, like in their way of life, like the words you can't say, the drinks you can't drink, the things you can't watch. It's the notes you can't play, you know, and that's what jazz is. That's where it comes from.
You ever been? This is a serious question. Have you ever been to a jazz show and seen like a jazz nerd? They play a note and they're like, "Have you seen that?" That's a thing they do, or it's like, "Oh." Like they're surprised by a note or something, so they laugh at it. There's a lot of that in Utah. So,
wow, yeah.
So keep that in mind, you know, when you're watching this. I would say mute your TV, put on some Thelonious Monk. Well, actually, no, because he's not from Salt Lake. But find your Salt Lake jazz, put it on.
Yeah.
Just Google Mormon jazz musician and see what comes up.
But don't eat their pizza because it'll food poison you, according to Michael Jordan.
That's true.
Sure.
Yeah, NBA playoffs. They get going this week and this weekend, so it's going to be good. We'll be talking about it for sure next week once everything's underway.
Absolutely. Where do we want to go next, sports wise?
I say we run down first base.
Well,
cover the Diamonds.
There you go.
Got my Braves jersey on today. It's a big series against your New York Metropolitans coming up. But I do have some breaking news that just came across the wire from enemy of the pod, Jack Daly, by giving us some good news, or I should say bad news, because apparently the best performing pitcher in the Atlanta Braves rotation, Huascar Ynoa, fractured his hand yesterday after punching a wall after his start, and he's going to be out for months.
No way.
That stinks.
That is wow. It's starting to feel like a bit of a cursed season right now. I got to be honest. Yeah, I know we're only about 6 weeks in, but Christ on a cracker, that ain't good.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I mean, the only bright spots are Ronnie Acuna Jr. has had some close calls, but he's still healthy. But
yeah, it's a heart attack every game watching that guy.
Yeah, and I don't want to rain on that parade. But since he had his first injury scare, he's hit like 220. I mean, his average is still right around 300 because he was hitting like 450 when that happened. He's still hitting a lot of home runs, but even he's been, as the best player on the team, he hasn't been quite what he usually is.
So I'm reading from beat writer for the Braves, David O'Brien, says, Huascar Ynoa broke a bone in his pitching hand when he punched the dugout bench in frustration after coming out of Sunday's game. He will be out a couple of months. Braves manager Brian Snitker said, it's a shame. Snitker said, probably nobody that feels any worse than him.
Damn.
Well, yeah. He
got
broke his hand.
Well, you gotta control that hot Irish temper. It can get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And Huascar's no different, but yeah, it's a big blow, man, because he was probably performing
the bright spot of the season, maybe.
Yeah,
probably
he's having like an all-star level start to the season.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So now the Braves are down yet another pitcher.
The bullpen's looking great. What could go wrong?
Yeah, they got a big series coming up against the Mets. But I don't know. Obviously, we just got this news, but I agree with Jimmy. This season for the Braves is starting to feel quite cursed, and maybe there's still time, but
Yeah.
if they're down Inoa and Soroka, and they have the bullpen they have going into the playoffs, if they make the playoffs, I don't like their chances.
And there's a lot of heat on Snitker right now, and I'm kind of on that train a little bit.
Yeah, Snitker made some bad decisions yesterday, especially the Braves were down 8-0, so he started to warm up Josh Tomlin. Then they scored 7 runs and made it 8-7. All of a sudden, you're only down 1 run in the 7th inning, but he decided to still put in probably the worst reliever on the team, and he gave up 2 more runs. So then it was 10-7. I was like, you fought all the way back into this game, and then you decided to just go ahead and throw your crappiest pitcher back out there anyway. And yeah,
I gotta say this too. Josh Tomlin looks like the least trustworthy guy, right? Like his look about him, it's like that guy's gonna. I don't know, he's gonna pull a fast one on me or something.
He looks like an old West bandit of some kind.
Yeah, he looks like he's gonna slash your tires.
Yeah.
But that was a baffling move. I've seen some beat writers kind of carry water for their team and be like, well, he had to rest like all these other pitchers, so he didn't have a choice. But I don't know. It's a pretty big game to get you back to 500. You'd think you'd want to do everything you could to win it.
He's also been under fire for since before that for some other decisions, because he's not a great manager. And I've seen this going around Twitter, and it's like, is it an Atlanta thing, or it's like Falcons fired Dan Quinn, all of a sudden started playing better. Hawks fired Lloyd Pierce. They're in the playoffs doing great. Is this the pattern we gotta follow?
Yeah, that's a good
Hell, even Atlanta United last year fired their coach. They got a new one, and now they're in first place right now.
Yeah.
I like Snitker is really well liked by the players, and that's the argument to keep him around, but he makes some very baffling strategic decisions during games.
But he's also not he goes after Ronnie a lot. I don't I know he's liked by some players, but
yeah, I mean they say he's a good clubhouse guy. We can't really know what that is, what that really means. But I mean, being a Major League Baseball manager, it's most of it really is just the in-game part of it is just bullpen. It's 90% of your job is just making good bullpen decisions, and he finds a way to screw that up pretty regularly.
Yes, it's the most important. It's setting the lineup and your bullpen.
Speaking of the coaches, I wanted to point this out too real quick before we move on. But with the weekend with the camo hats and stuff, which I am not a fan of.
Department of Defense PR work.
Yeah, Rick Kranitz, the pitching coach for the Braves, when he wears that hat, I feel like I know where he was on January 6th. You know what I mean? When he's wearing that hat, because he's got the big beard and
the long goatee.
Yeah, and the look about him.
Unless you're in Pantera, you really shouldn't have that.
Yeah. People are gonna assume you're in some kind of militia of some kind if you have that. Yeah.
And the hat doesn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of because it was Military Appreciation Weekend.
Which is fine. Do your thing. I just don't like the uniform changes in general, because then they'll do the pink stuff for breast cancer, and they'll do I just let them wear their uniforms.
Yeah. It's a little cheesy.
I don't like the camo hats. I will say I might change my mind on that if I'm driving through South Carolina and don't want to get pulled over. Because I do feel like it's a pretty big signal to those, law enforcement types that, hey man, cool.
So just always, to our listeners, just go out and buy yourself a camo hat, shove it in your glove compartment. Next time you get pulled over, pop that on. Even better if you have a stick-on Rick Kranitz long goatee that you could slap on too. you might get some more favorable treatment.
And when you have the hat, you got to get a little like chaw or dip juice on it, and you got to put the fish hook right on the front there.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Not the banned fish, but like the actual like fishing for the animal.
But otherwise, in baseball, I don't know. I'm just taking a look here at this.
Oh yeah, there's a few things we had. I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if it's becoming a thing. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the Reds and Pirates played a game last week, and a couple players had a little standoff after the anthem, where they wait, because the anthem ends and then everyone goes to the dugouts because like the players come out on the field and they're going to get the game started. These guys like had a standoff standing out there the longest to see who would budge the last to go into the dugout, and their teams were behind it and like making them do it. It was Blandino and Oviedo for the Reds and the Pirates, and eventually the guy from the Reds won because the ump started yelling at them, but neither would budge. And I love that, and I hope it continues.
I also love that. I did not see that. I support it. I like dumb stuff like that.
It makes it fun. It shows that baseball can be fun.
Speaking of baseball being fun, here's a little peek behind the curtain. I was at a party this past weekend. I don't want to name names, but there was a guy there who works in advertising who said he just started like very recently. His agency took over advertising for Major League Baseball. And he said a big focus they're trying to push is the young, fun guys. Mm-hmm. He basically said for their future stuff, it looks like Acuna is going to be like the star of the MLB. They're trying to push him.
That's awesome.
You know what? He's fun.
Yeah.
He is fun.
Because like Mike Trout is the best player, but he has the personality of like a white tube sock.
Yeah, that's you constantly, for the past few years, you constantly hear people say, oh, Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. It's just a shame like Angels games aren't on TV a lot. Not a lot of people get to appreciate it.
They don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. Which, fair enough. But also, I'm sure baseball players appreciate him, but I've watched him in games and it's not very exciting. I mean, like he's clearly talented.
He's the totally old school guy of just like you hit a home run, you put your head down, you sprint around the bases, you don't do anything, like you respect the pitchers and which is fine. But with baseball trending in the direction that it is as far as national popularity, it's like they need to do something to make it more appealing to people because they're losing ground on everybody else pretty much.
Right. And that's why Fernando Tatis and Ronald Acuna and Tim Anderson and those guys need to be featured more.
Yeah.
And according to this guy, they are going to be. So that's cool. But just speaking of, I just want to do a quick run around the standings here because Mike Trout's Angels doing pretty bad in the AL West.
Huh. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. With the Athletics surprisingly in first. And we got the Twins. That's another surprise is the Twins are god-awful so far.
Twins!
They're behind the Tigers, who are pretty universally declared the worst team in baseball. So that's a lot for...
That's crazy because on MLB The Show, I tell you that Twins team is fun to play with.
Athletics in first. Our producer Kyle says not a surprise. I think it's a little bit of a surprise because they started out so bad, but they went on a huge run after that. But they are a very good team.
Yeah, the Twins and A's were both in the playoffs last year.
I do think, the Astros and A's will be an exciting back and forth. Then you got the Red Sox leading the AL East.
That was a surprise.
That's surprising because most people thought they'd be middle of the pack,
and that the Yankees would be running away with the division there.
Yes. It's still tight though, and then you got the Blue Jays who just swept our beloved Braves. Very hot young team.
Yeah, that's a season sweep.
That's a season sweep. Yeah, it's not just.
Really, really dominated the Braves.
Something about the bird teams. They are bad juju for the Braves. Don't like it.
Yeah.
Then we got the Mets in first in the NL East, even though they've played fewer games because of COVID-related stuff. Braves in the middle, Phillies. I don't know. Again, like
the NL East is weird. All the teams can have a week where it looks like, oh, these guys could make a run, and then the next week it's like they get swept by everyone. It's like what? There's no consistency.
No, yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. And the Braves just had this series in Milwaukee that made them look really good, and then this news that our best pitcher just broke his pitching hand. Not good.
Yeah, it's crazy because it seems like all the teams in the East, like you guys said, have been going up and down because the Mets have been playing much better recently, but they just put Conforto and somebody else,
McNeil
on the IL. So it's like
DeGrom's on the IL.
Yeah, DeGrom's on. So it's like everybody's just one team starts to play really well, another team sucks, and they kind of.
And the Phillies, when they play the Braves, look like they're world beaters sometimes, and then the next game they look terrible. It's really hard to predict. And the Marlins, I think, have the best plus minus run average, and they're still in last place. Or the Nationals might be in last place, but they're still at the bottom of the division, which is insane. So it's such a weird team.
And then in the Central, the Cardinals are in first, but I don't know. We just played the Brewers. They've got a lot of injuries. They're not.
The Reds were hot at first, and they've cooled off a ton.
Yeah. So whatever. And then probably the biggest surprise in baseball is that the San Francisco Giants are in place out in the West.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I don't know if that'll hold, but pretty much everyone was like, "Oh, they'll be near the bottom." And
the Dodgers and Padres are going to win that division.
Yeah, and they're still over 500, both of those. But the Dodgers started 14-2 or something.
Yeah,
they just went on a crazy losing streak. So it's a baseball; anything can happen.
Yeah,
but still early,
Yeah, it's still early, but it's nice. I mean, baseball with it being a long season and so weird. Like the Royals had the hottest start and looked like the best team for a minute, and then crap.
Yeah.
Back down to earth. But I have some audio from the Reds over the weekend if you guys want. I don't know if you guys caught that. The Nick Castellanos.
No.
Post game.
I heard something about this, but I want to hear that audio.
Nick Castellanos, outfielder for the Reds, I don't know how I feel about him. He's kind of a scummy guy. It seems like he's always a little crap starter. He's looking to do stuff. But he fist bumped a fan in the middle. They were playing Colorado. They were out in Denver, and he fist bumped a fan. And then he hit a home run. The fan yelled at him. He fist bumped him. And he hit a home run. And then in the post game, after the Reds had won, Nick Castellanos was like, "Oh no! I'm going to take the headset off. Talk to the fan." And so I have that audio of the post game. So this is a fan doing the post game after the Reds and Rockies.
The power of the fist bump. He's a man of the people.
Yeah. All right, be careful. You're on live TV here now. What led up to the fist bump? So I told Nick when he got up there that he should imagine that Rob Manfred's face was on the baseball. And the next pitch, he lit it up over the fence, baby. All righty. End it right there. Whatever motivation it takes, right? Whatever it takes. All right, thanks for joining us. Hey, Coors Field is a wild place to play baseball. And you never know what to expect. That one will go down in history.
There you go.
So the fan was asking. The fan told him.
Told him to imagine Rob Manfred's face on the baseball.
And
everybody hates Rob Manfred.
And the Reds broadcaster was nervous because, as we all know, what's happened in Red broadcasts in the past with the former broadcasters. So he was like, anything can happen. It's like, we're on live TV. Remember that. Easy. And it's like, end it right now. Like, he was very nervous.
Yeah. Last season, Marty Brenneman really put his foot in it during broadcast. But
I think it was Thom Brenneman.
Oh, sorry, Thom, Marty's son.
Yeah.
Is Thom back, or is he still on the sidelines? Do we know?
That's a good question. Because he had that gig.
Kept up with Thom's career.
Thom had that gig for a long time.
Yeah, well, he was like a national broadcaster.
Yeah.
I think he was even on like MLB The Show at some point, or some other video game, and then.
I'm seeing something that he's doing play-by-play for the Roberto Clemente League in Puerto Rico.
Wow,
that's cool.
So,
the coveted Roberto Clemente League.
Hey, I mean, think about it like this: would you rather live in San Juan or Cincinnati? There's worse jobs to have.
Yeah.
Let me follow up. Can I bring Skyline Chili to San Juan?
Why would you want to?
It's funny when I was watching a game in Cincinnati recently, and like the announcers for the opposing team, I don't remember who it was. They were like openly mocking Skyline Chili.
It's not very good.
That's what I've heard.
Pretty nasty. Yeah.
Cincinnati's. I've never been, and I don't know if I'll ever go.
Yeah, one of my sisters-in-law grew up partially in Cincinnati for a time. She doesn't have a lot of positive things to say about that town. I don't know much about it aside from driving past it.
Yeah, all I know about it is the Reds, the Bengals, and the movie Airborne about the SoCal, California kid that has to move to Cincinnati and can't surf anymore, so he rollerblades.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a terrible movie. I think it's Jack Black's first movie, and Seth Green is in it as well.
Okay. I don't know. I love Jack Black, but I'll pass on that.
Yeah, don't watch this. It's not good. It's like a super time capsule of the 90s.
Okay.
In the worst ways.
So it's in the Criterion collection is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's in my personal collection too.
Great.
Everyone hates Rob Manfred, and they openly mock him on television.
Who do you think is a worse commissioner, Manfred or Goodell?
Ooh.
I'm going to go Manfred. Because as hateable as Goodell is, like I'd say there's more of a debate about who's more hateable, but I think Goodell is obviously more successful, and that the NFL as an enterprise is doing way better than Major League Baseball is as a league, you know?
Also, it's different things to hate about them.
Yeah.
I feel like Goodell is more like, no, I'm your friend.
Oh yeah,
I'm not like I don't work for the owners. I'm not cool with them. I'm one of the people. Make fun of me, guys. Right. But he like the whole time he's like,
no, he's
destroyed the middle class and the NFL, which you haven't talked about, which we should at some point. How there's no more middle class. Like all the players who aren't superstars are getting basically wiped out because they only want to pay the high price players and then pay the bottom guys nothing. So.
Yeah,
I think that's allowed to happen, but Manfred
I think
sucks.
Goodell is more hateable. If you're arguing about hateability, then it's probably Goodell. But if you're saying who's worse, then you could argue that Goodell is better than Manfred.
I think that's a good analysis. But it's not good. Not a good sign when a player's like openly hating on him in a broadcast like that.
Yeah, because Adam Silver looks like Nosferatu, but everyone loves that guy.
They do a better job. I mean, for probably a lot of reasons, but the NBA does a better job of kind of getting out of the way of the players and letting.
Yeah, and they embrace what the fans want. They kind of give the fans a little bit more of what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like the biggest criticism of Manfred is that the baseball is still just like so stodgy and so like unwilling to make basic changes that could help them, regain some popularity.
But yeah, what else did I have? Anything else of baseball here? Did we have on our sheet? A-Rod's still heartbroken.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to say, like, I was thinking more about how J-Lo's now in the loving arms of Ben Affleck, and how that, in addition to being a big, a romantic fairy book tale, it's also probably for Ben Affleck very validating as a Red Sox fan to make a former Yankees great so miserable
by stealing a girl from the Bronx.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. This whole story has like made me feel sympathy for A-Rod.
No, it's wild.
I've never been an A-Rod fan, but now over the last couple weeks, I'm like, damn, A-Rod's going through some shit right now.
Yeah, it's weird to feel bad for that guy.
It's weird. I saw him hanging out with Big Papi, smoking cigars, drinking El Presidente, the national beer of the Dominican Republic. And it was just like, man, he's just trying to like be a normal guy with friends. Probably difficult for him.
Papi's the king of the cool slobs, right? The king of the cool baseball slobs.
Oh, yeah. I saw him in person from kind of far away when I was in Boston a couple years ago, doing a broadcast. And he's got an aura about him. He's definitely a king slob.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, A-Rod, we're here for you if you need us. You're welcome to come on the show.
Yeah, you can tell your side of the story. There's, 3 sides to every story, so give us yours.
Yeah. We're some sympathetic ears.
I do want to give a quick shout out because I watched UFC 262 on Saturday.
Ooh.
And want to just shout out, especially because of our sponsor, MMA Long Island out in Ronkonkoma, where you can learn to be as great as Charles Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
Great fight for the lightweight title. He looked down, but then he came back and beat Michael Chandler. Very exciting. There were lots of good fights, and it was cool.
Nice. Fight boy Kevin.
We got to get my girlfriend Melissa on because she's the one that's really into it. So I'm just like getting into it through her because she like knows all the backstory and.
No, that's awesome. I'm not judging, man. I love it.
No, but I don't want to pretend like I'm a fight guy. But I might take a trip out to MMA Long Island and learn how to, beat people up all over the city.
I do also, before we go, like now that we're in our random nuggets here and there, not that we ever really have anything that's set. La Liga, the Spanish soccer league, is coming to ESPN. So that's going to be more visible to eyes here in the United States because they've signed a TV deal with beIN Sports, which is inaccessible to everybody, and it sucks. As a result of that, and I want to tie this in because we've been talking about announcing so much, there's an announcer on beIN Sports named Ray Hudson, who now does the play-by-play for Inter Miami. I normally watch the games in Spanish, but this guy is kind of fun. Because he's very crazy and he romanticizes the things he says. So I wanted to play a little clip of Ray Hudson because hopefully he'll find a landing spot somewhere once the league is here in America. So if you don't know Ray Hudson, he's a British guy, used to coach, used to play. But here he is calling here just like I'm going to play the first little bit of this whole thing where he calls a goal a few years ago.
Oh my goodness!
This isn't Ray. Ray's about to come in.
Cap it off. A thing of
very different from American.
Ronaldinho makes it 4-0.
As electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub, my friend.
There you go.
As electrifying as a million blow dryer.
As a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub, my friend.
Beautiful.
That's dangerous, buddy. Shouldn't be doing that.
But it's electrifying.
Raises at the back post, but it's Messi!
You kidding me? This is off the chops again!
4 defenders that he burst through and sides off the finger. Help on the
Great
play.
ball, look out.
Threads it through for Messi. Messi! Tucks it in.
There's just compilation videos of him screaming at the top of his lungs.
Well, I had to look him up because I'm like, what is that accent? And realize he's from near Newcastle, so I guess that's
Northern England.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
accent.
It seemed like there's almost a little Scottish lilt in there a little bit.
That's all he does. It's like, the Spanish announcers go, goal! He's just like,
I get it. I'm definitely going to be tuning in to watch that guy call matches, if you will.
It's very fun. It's very funny. It's very silly. And he romanticizes everything. Like, he'll, for no reason.
Have you,
Hey, Hudson, hopefully you make it.
Have you ever watched the Alan Partridge show?
A little bit, yeah.
His friend who's the gas station attendant is a Geordie, and he kind of sounds. He's like, "Oh man, yeah, you can't really understand him, but he's like, oh, there." So it's a fun little accent.
Yeah, and he's apparently taken his motivation from a guy in England who's also from the area, who's a announcer for darts, for professional darts, because that's the biggest sport in England.
Big over there,
low key.
Well, you could be a red-faced, massive English guy who just eats shepherd's pie. I eat shepherd's pie and drink pints. You can still be a professional dart player.
Yeah, but people sell out that stuff. They really go for it there.
It's big. I mean, it's part of their beautiful culture.
It's
that's why they conquered the earth.
Yeah. Yeah, the most meek, sheepish people on earth. Just think of Hugh Grant, and it's like, oh yeah, your people owned the whole world for a while somehow.
It's hard to believe, but then you see an English soccer hooligan, and you're like, oh, the Hugh Grants made these guys go around.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a really wonderful combination.
Yeah, that's great. And on that note, I think we're going to have to wrap it up for another classic episode.
Yeah. Perfect work. Beautiful work, guys. We killed it.
We covered it all.
Yeah.
That's basketball!
That's what we said. We're done.
Yeah.
Well, great. And guys, let's go. It's, the weather's starting to get beautiful, and White Boy Summer is almost here.
Oh, yeah.
Chet Hanks style.
Yeah. But, yeah. But we'll be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, make sure you download the Worldwide Sports Radio Network app. Check out the website. Check out the other shows. They have more coverage. I'm sure way more in-depth and deeper coverage on the New York Knicks and their playoff run that's coming and everything. So check it all out, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Get in there.
Get in there.
Yeah.
Just get in there. It's not hard.
Yeah, get in there. Although nobody's going to cover Huascar Inoa's hand breaking as extensively as we did. So
no one's going to cover the roots of jazz and the blues like we are.
Exactly.
What other sports show are you going to get that info from?
or Skyline Chili.
Or Friends with Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Which we are.
So, yeah, we bring a lot to the table.
But, yeah, everyone have a great week. Enjoy the beautiful weather out there. Hopefully you got it too. And we'll be back next week, everyone. Bye-bye. Papa bless.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.